8 movies, countless near-death stunts, and now the world might actually end. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's not just another spy thriller, it feels like a farewell, but does it land the jump or fumble the parachute? And is it really going to end? Let's talk about it. And before I do, this channel usually dives into finance, but every now and then I break the format to bring you a movie review because even your entertainment budget deserves smart decisions. Whether it's worth your hard-earned cash or better skipped, I'll help you decide with the sharpest insight. Mission Impossible style. And let's be honest, Hollywood's in trouble, from the disaster that was Disney's Snow White remake to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, crashing harder than their own CGI. It's been one box office flop after another. Studios are bleeding money, chasing half-baked reboots, lazy sequels, and, let's be frank, overcooked multiverses. But then there's Tom Cruise. While everyone else is sinking, he's still sprinting full speed towards cinematic greatness. In a world of green screens and AI scripts, Cruise is out there literally jumping off cliffs and clinging onto planes to keep the big screen alive. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning isn't just another action-packed movie. In fact, it might be the last grasp of old-school movie magic. And today, we're breaking it down so you can decide, is it worth your money or is it the mission skippable? To break it down, we're going to focus on the good, the bad, noticeable flaws, hilarious parts, and my final verdict on this movie. Directed by Christopher McQuarrie, the mastermind behind Rogue Nation, Fallout, and Dead Reckoning Part 1, this latest installment puts Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt back in the crosshairs. This time chasing down a rogue AI that's infiltrating global intelligence. The stakes, well, as usual, global, but much more global this time, like everyone global. The action is insane, and the emotional weight, well, that's heavier than ever. Let's start with what absolutely worked in this movie. As usual, the stunts are jaw-dropping. We're talking about real aircrafts, real danger, and real "how is Cruise still alive" energy. I mean, there's a biplane stunt here that'll have your palms sweating. The action sequences, especially a subterranean truck chase and a nerve-wracking submarine escape, are top tier. I mean, it keeps you on the edge of your seat from the start to finish. Like, forget to breathe levels of suspense. McQuarrie knows exactly how to frame intensity, and longtime fans rejoice. And this one is packed with callbacks that aren't just surface-level nods. We're talking about story-deep, character-driven payoffs that recontextualize earlier films. It's not just fan service, it's narrative enrichment. Now, let's talk about the pacing. The first act struggles under the weight of 8 films worth of backstory. So there's a ton of exposition, old footage, and reminders for the newcomers. As a fan who's been here since the early 2000s, it dragged on a little bit, but I get it, not everyone watched Mission Impossible 2 on VHS. Also, while the plot is centered on a rogue AI threatening humanity, which we all really kind of relate with in the now world, the villain lacks a little bit of bite. Compared to the bad guy in Mission Impossible 3, this guy's a little bit more cartoonish than cunning. This movie is a little bit more serious. You don't really get the wink-wink charm of the Ghost Protocol. This one leans a little bit more into dread. The world ending is a threat that feels real here, a little less popcorn fun and a little bit more existential crisis. This movie has a noticeably somber tone. It's just a tonal shift that you should expect going into. Now, this is my favorite part, which is taking a deep dive into the characters and the physics. And, well, guys, I'm an engineer and I can't help but notice when a movie breaks the laws of physics. And, while I get this, it is a movie, it still yanks me out of the immersion now and then because I'm cursed. Engineers just can't unsee this stuff. So let's jump right into it. So first of all, at one point, Tom throws himself out of a plane and splashes into the ocean. And within seconds, a submarine team magically appears next to him. And then one of them tases him in the water. Look, tasing someone in the ocean would absolutely shock the person holding the taser too. Congrats, you both got zapped. Now, there's a scene where Ethan goes deep, like record-breaking deep. And towards the end of his swim, he has to ditch his scuba gear. But at 300 meters, your lungs, sinuses, and your inner ears would literally be crushed. And the record for a no-gear free dive is around 200 meters by like a literal superhuman. Now, if you know anything about the last movie, there's a sunken submarine that Ethan goes after. Now, Ethan dives down and starts opening doors in the sunken sub, including one facing upward. Now, at first I thought, no way, but technically, if the compartment below is fully flooded, the pressure is equal on both sides, so yes, I guess he could open it. But if the compartment is not flooded below, he'd be fighting 190 tons of downward force. And if he somehow managed to yank it open because, he's Superman, the explosive decompression would literally kill you. Well, unless you're Superman. Now, another one is that there's this moment where a biplane flies over and Ethan just grabs the axle mid-takeoff and holds on. Yeah, that's how you lose your arms. But the absurdity made me laugh out loud this time. Even better, in the shots where he's actually on the plane, his hair is smashed flat against his head, like totally Moe from the Three Stooges. In the green screen shots, though, his hair has volume and he's breathing like he's on a windy balcony, not on a plane going 150 miles per hour. Movie magic, folks. Now, there's a sequence where Ethan descends into a deep cave in a leather jacket that screams Indiana Jones. I mean, it's subtle, but it's there, and it's pretty cool. Now, at one point in the movie, there's a scene where Haley Atwell's character, Grace, gets kind of emotional on the plane, and she starts almost tearing, and the nose starts running, and then bam, no more snot. There's no more snot coming out of her nose. I just imagine the director yelling, cut, cut, someone wipe her nose, before they kept rolling the cameras, I almost burst out laughing, but somehow I managed to keep it in with a little smile. At the end of the movie, there's a 17-minute countdown with a bomb, but that 17 minutes lasts literally, no joke, like an hour. I mean, maybe it doesn't, but it seemed like it lasts for like eternity. But hey, that's a classic Hollywood time dilation, right? And finally, in the movie, there's a couple Top Gun vibes. Like, there's an aircraft carrier that he lands on, and you can see the planes taking off and then landing. It's really cool. And then there's another point where he's on a plane, and then he crashes on the ground, and he kind of stands up, and then he begins wandering around in kind of like a small, old world town. So it's kind of fun. So now we're going to cover the character development and kind of how that progressed in the movie. Now there's this moment in a decompression chamber where Ethan is recovering from nearly dying underwater, which, is pretty intense bonding experience when Grace joins him in there. And then a little bit of romance happens. Yeah, a little spark, like a little lingering glance, a little like, are we about to kiss in this still can energy, Now look, I'm 10 years older than my wife, and I used to think that raised some eyebrows. But Tom Cruise, he's doubled my age gap like it was a mission briefing. She's 43 and he's 62. And sure, it's Hollywood, and he's hanging off planes and dodging AI like a 30-year-old, but I still had a moment of, dang, maybe I'm not all that creepy after all. But hey, when you're decompressing from 200 meters down under the water and possibly dying, I guess age is just a number and romance is just pressurized. Now, in another scene, Benji suddenly has near surgical level medical skills. Like, since when? I don't remember him patching people up in earlier movies. But maybe he took an online course. So do you remember Parrish, the woman that Ethan fought in the last movie? Well, they become friends.
You're friends.
So now their squad consists of Grace, who's played by Haley Atwell, Benji, who you remember, that's played by Simon Pegg, and then Parrish, who's played by Pom Clementif, I don't know how to say that, and Ethan, of course, who's played by Tom Cruise. Now, a funny part in the movie, there's a scene where Ethan is beating up a guy who wants the AI to take over the world. And in the mid-fight, Ethan yells, "You spend too much time on the internet!" I mean, it's a perfect jab at today's Twitter philosophers who think Reddit threads are gospel. I just cracked up. Now, in the movie, there's actually a spiritual moment that, hey, I did not expect. But skip this part if you don't want to have a spoiler. So one moment really got unexpectedly spiritual, which is when Luther dies and leaves Ethan a note. And in the note he says, "I'll see you again, but hopefully not too soon." That's a subtle nod at the afterlife, and it was honestly refreshing. And furthermore, the movie ends with Luther saying, "The fate of our world lies in kindness, trust, and mutual understanding, should we choose to accept it." I mean, it was a surprisingly thoughtful send-off for a franchise known for car chases and skydiving. So honestly, guys, the movie stretches science, bends time a little bit, and probably violates a lot of OSHA codes, but it's a great ride. And if Cruise is Hollywood's last hope for real stunts and story-driven action, well, let the man keep risking his life a little bit for our entertainment. So in the end, is this the best Mission Impossible movie? No, that crown, I think, still belongs to Fallout. But is it worth seeing? Absolutely. You should spend that money. And even at its most restrained, Final Reckoning is better than 99% of action movies released today. I mean, literally, Tom Cruise once again proves he's a machine. The dedication, the danger, and the delivery, it's all there. So is this the end of the road? Well, I thought so going into the movie, but now after seeing it, I honestly doubt it.
Another!
So if you're a fan or not, you'll definitely walk out satisfied. If you're new, maybe start with Rogue Nation or Fallout. Should you watch it on the big screen? Well, absolutely mandatory. Spend that money. And as always, thanks guys so much for watching. Let me know below what your favorite Mission Impossible moment is. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.